antelope. They too have rich stories filled with the daily struggle to survive. An intricate array of trials and tribulations centered on the need to feed and breed. With stories no less compelling, they're rarely told. Of these, 2 antelope outnumber all others: springbok and impala. For both, life in the herd is critical to their success. The long, lazy days of summer in southern Africa are coming to an end. While conditions are cooling down, however, relationships in the bush are heating up. It's the rut, mating season for impala. At this time of the year, males fight each other for mates. Between fighting off rivals and chasing down females, life is tough. There's little time for eating, and males quickly lose condition. This is the toughest time of the year, and the most important, because only the winners will go on to mate. The plains of southern Africa teem with antelope. There are more species here than on any other continent. These range in size from tiny duikers and steenbok, weighing about as much as a domestic cat, to massive eland that are the size and weight of a large cow. From forests to deserts, antelope are the backbone of the environment. But no matter whether they're big or small, all species are herbivores and therefore are closely tied to the prevailing environmental conditions. Fed by moist winds blowing in across the warm Indian Ocean, the East receives lots of rain, often more than 1,000 millimeters a year, and is covered in thick, lush vegetation. Meanwhile, the western parts are drier, receiving less than 500 millimeters of rain a year, and semi-desert environments dominate the landscape. Water is scarce, and food is often limited and difficult to find. Droughts here are regular and severe. Temperatures regularly soar into the 40s. And every plant and animal living here is specially adapted to overcome the rigors imposed by the conditions. Meanwhile, the eastern parts of the region are more congenial. Moist savannas pulsating with life dominate. It's more humid and not overly hot, with temperatures hovering pleasantly in the mid-30s year-round. The vegetation is lush and green. More often than not, there is plenty of food to go around. Across this continental divide, two species of antelope in particular thrive. In the lush wooded savannas of the east, impala eat a broad diet and are incredibly successful. Their total population has been estimated at more than 2 million individuals. Only one antelope outnumbers them: the springbok. More than 2.5 million individuals range across the dry, open plains of the West. Here they dominate thanks in part to their ability to eke out a meal even in the toughest conditions, and they feed on just about any greenery they find. Together, these two species are the most successful herd-living animals in Africa. Herding behavior evolved following the last ice age, as the forests covering the continent receded. Animals moved out onto the new grassy plains for the first time. They grew larger and began to cover greater distances in search of food. And it became important for individuals to stick together in herds so that they could easily find mates and better protect themselves against predators. Despite their abundance, springbok and impala almost never occur in the same habitat and roughly follow the dry-wet divide. Without them, Africa would be a very different place. In the arid heartland of South Africa lies the 88,000-hectare Karoo National Park. This is one of the country's most spectacular parks, draped across the Nuuvaveld Mountains that rise from open plains which millions of years ago were an inland sea. Just about every animal living here is specially adapted to surviving the desiccating conditions. A small herd of springbok is grazing across the meager landscape of the scrubby plains. Springbok are small gazelles, standing roughly 70 to 90 centimeters at the shoulder and weighing up to 45 kilograms. They're hardy characters, capable of suffering through even the toughest of droughts. Travelers through the Karoo during the late 1800s wrote of gigantic herds of migrating springbok, so numerous they took all day to pass their camps. These would move vast distances across the arid plains, taking advantage of the unpredictable and variable rainfall of the region. These great congregations are a thing of the past. In modern times, farming has disrupted ancient migration routes. And in the Karoo, springbok are relegated to small herds sprinkled across the landscape. "500 kilometers east, in the world-famous Kruger National Park in the wetter eastern parts of the country, a herd of impala is picking its way through the lush vegetation. Life is very different. The Kruger, as it is fondly known to locals, is a gigantic swathe of savanna bushveld stretching almost 2 million hectares along the northeastern border of South Africa. One of the largest and most successful wildlife reserves anywhere on Earth, Kruger is crowded with animals. Food is plentiful, and giant herbivores such as elephants and giraffes pick from the top branches of the trees, while at their feet, great herds of other browsers and grazers pick their way through the landscape. It's also home to some of the highest densities of predators in Africa. More than 100,000 impala munch their way through the thick bush. Impala are taller than springbok, standing almost a meter high at the shoulder and weighing up to 76 kilograms. With so much food and water available, a host of other browsers prosper. A small family of kudu browsers nearby. Together, kudu and impala often form loose, mixed herds. These aggregations do have some benefit. In a world controlled by carnivores, with almost half of all impala deaths caused by predators, the more eyes on the lookout, the better. Predators also range across the arid plains of southern Africa. But animals here worry as much about avoiding the heat and finding enough food as they do about being eaten. Where the borders of South Africa, Namibia and Botswana meet is one of the dry western region's most iconic reserves, the Kalahari Transfrontier Park. Springbok are the most common antelope here. During summer, it's hot, with midday temperatures well into the 40s more often than not. Springbok fare better than most. They eat pretty much anything they find, switching between grass and herbaceous shrubs and succulents as dictated by the conditions. This young male is pawing up fresh shoots from the riverbed. Once he's eaten his fill, he heads for the shade to digest his meal.